How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? This is the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. As you know, we are right in the start of basketball season throughout HBCU and throughout the land. But we are going to be geared and focused on SWAC basketball right now. We have on the line with us Coach Vann Pettaway. He needs no introduction, but for those of you, Coach, who not be aware with who you are and what you've done, how about introducing yourself? We'll get right started on today.
Well, I'm Vann Pettaway, and I coached at Alabama A&M a total of 29 years, 26 as the head coach, and I'm just happy to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you here, Coach, on this added bonus feature during basketball season. You come with 29 years under your belt. You have forgotten what many are still trying to remember. So we definitely appreciate you making yourself available and just sharing your tidbits on what's going on throughout conference play. We've gotten past that treacherous non-conference scheduling. I call it the fundraising season. And now we're in the season of positioning. And we've had some pretty exciting starts to this weekend, huh, Coach?
Well, yeah, it was a very exciting weekend. It was a weekend that I thought that opened some eyes for some people. And some of the people that I thought that would flourish this weekend did not.
Okay. Would you like to dig a little deeper in that one, Coach?
Well, on the women's side, I think I've always said that my sleeper team was Alabama A&M, and they did win one of the games this weekend. They lost a very big game to Grambling on Monday night, but it was a game that they were in. They could have won. They made some key, took some bad shots down the stretch and some key turnovers, and that prevented them from winning that basketball game. And then, of course, down in Baton Rouge, Coach Pugh was able to come to town and get out with a win. And I think a lot of people expected the Jaguars to exact some type of revenge on her for leaving the program, but she was able to get in there and get out. And I thought that was eye-opening. And then also on the women's side, I thought Texas Southern women would have stood the test of time, but they didn't hold up their end of the deal this past weekend. So on the women's side, there were quite a few teams that did some interesting things. And then also, Alabama State, they'd only won one game on the women's side in preseason, but they were able to come out and win a big basketball game. So there's been a lot of ups and downs on the women's side in the early going.
Now, you just made an interesting point, Coach, about Sandy Pugh in particular. You think that Southern may have felt a little slighted that she left?
Well, no, I just think that they probably were disappointed that she left so late in the year, which you didn't get an opportunity to you limit your options when a coach leaves late in the year. I think that's the only thing. No, I'm not suggesting anything other than the fact that you got two programs that want to win, and most of the time when that coach that left the program comes back, you want to always try to show them what they missed by leaving.
Right, and
so that was my only assumption. I was not trying to deal up anybody else or say that there was any kind of other intent.
Oh no, none of that was actually taken. I found it interesting because you would think, and there's always three sides to every story. Your version of what happened, my version of what happened, and then somewhere in between there's the actual truth. And so some say she probably waited late because she tried to work out the best possible deal, but found out that deal was not going to be to her advantage. So she came on down the road to PV and coming in. And the way they won the game was more surprising to me than them actually winning the game. PV and Southern has always played each other pretty tough. But to come in with an 82-61 lead win and it left no room for doubt, at least from my vantage point. But as they move forward, there's a huge litmus test. We know that Texas Southern did lose a game this weekend, but
right,
they're going.
Yeah, Texas Southern lost to Southern 63-61, and see, I thought Texas Southern was stronger than that, but I guess after Southern lost on Saturday night, they put more emphasis on the Monday game, and they were able to beat Texas Southern 63-61. Then Prairie View goes down to Alcorn, and they win 82-61.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I got my scores mixed up. 82-61 was Prairie View over Alcorn, and then it was a tough fight against Southern. But
correct.
But the point is that it's still early, and that's why this game is going to be, to me, even bigger for Coach Pugh and the Panthers. With the Panthers, with the new coach, they get a good start, and you got a rival coming right in your backyard this coming Saturday. And you want to set that tone because you don't want to have that mindset. You've been coaching for 29 years, Coach, and you know the psyche of a basketball player or an athlete, for that matter, can switch on the drop of a dime. And,
yes.
And you want to keep that competitive edge and come out strong on this Saturday coming up.
Yep, that's true. That's true, because this is the next part of it is that you playing at home now, and you want to defend your home court. So Prairie View has to be ready. They got to be ready to play Saturday, and all the teams that are playing at home, they want to protect their home court. They should want to protect their home court because it's tough to get a road win in the SWAC. And it's a blessing when you can go in the SWAC and win on the road.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? It's a blessing when you can go anywhere on the road and get a win, because it's just that tough, and that's why they call it home court, home field advantage. We're talking right now with Coach Vann Pettaway. We're going to just call you SWAC basketball analyst. You do it all. You failed to mention, too, Coach, that you are active on the SWAC digital network. You've been doing a great job on that with your color analysis on everything, and it's great to hear you guys in action. So, speaking of the action now, we'll transition over to the men's side of the hardwood. And were there any surprises from that end for you this past weekend?
Well, there were always, I guess, in SWAC basketball, they're going to always be surprises. To me, the biggest surprise was the dud that you heard down at Grambling, as they dropped both games this past weekend on their road trip. I thought Grambling was the best team, or should have been. The coaches also picked them to be the best team in the SWAC, and then they opened up with losses at both Alabama State and Alabama A&M. Alabama A&M beat them in overtime, 65-60, and I think that's a bad start for Grambling. But on the other games, Pine Bluff played at home. They took care of Mississippi Valley on Saturday night. Then, of course, Texas Southern went on the road and showed why people picked them number 2, as they came up with 2 wins. And on Monday night, they beat Southern 77-67. So, and then Jackson State, after beating Alabama A&M, they went down to Montgomery and they lost to Alabama State 59-57. So you got a surprise team in Alabama State winning 2 games. It was a surprise for A&M to win their home game against Grambling. And then, of course, Prairie View, the Panthers, they went on the road and then they beat Alcorn State on Monday night, 57-54. So it's a tough road for Southern because they went 0-2 over the weekend. So they've got to pick it up. Coach Woods, I thought that the big test would be if Southern could win at home, that could get him off to a good start. But losing 0-2 that 2 games at home, that's going to be tough on Southern to bounce back from. So we'll just have to see. And then the teams that are winning got to stay away from injuries. So right now you're looking at Alabama State, which is 2-0. You're looking at Texas Southern 2-0. Pine Bluff is 1-0 because they played their rival, so they didn't play on Monday night. So it's going to be an exciting season, and I think it's off to a great start for both the men and women.
It is off to an absolutely great start. Now, I'm going to tell you like this, Coach. My meter is out on Coach Wood because we know Coach Woods has a history of being animated and can sometimes get easily agitated. And I'm hoping this slow start won't let that ugly monster rear his head up.
Oh, I think Wood will be okay. I think he's been in the game long enough now. He knows that people are watching. He has to be careful about what he does and what he says, and I think he'll weather the storm. They've got some nice pieces to work with, and I just think they just got to become focused. A lot of times I've said this before, because of all the hard preseason schedule, pre-conference schedule, it messes with the psyche of the kids. Those kids can actually play, but because of all those guarantee games, they haven't realized that yet.
Okay.
So, and a lot of times you'll lose games that you should win because you put yourself in that situation where you're overmatched in so many ball games. And so when they hit a wall in a game, they revert back to what has happened before and actually lose the game because they got that losing mentality because you put them in that situation. If you don't play all those money games, then the kids will win some of the games they're supposed to win.
And is it also safe to assume, and I use that word assume very loosely, that they're still learning Coach Woods?
Yeah, that is the magic thing. They are learning him. He just got there. He just is his first year there. He's implementing. He's playing totally different from what they were accustomed to the year before. So it's a learning curve for the players and the coaches. So it's not too late for Southern yet. They still got a chance to bounce back from it. They dropped a couple at home. That means that now, instead of splitting on the road, they got to go out and sweep a couple people on the road.
Absolutely. And it's going to start this coming up weekend. Well, they put the rival game in, but it's going to be coming up real soon on their next road trips. Now, Texas Southern went in. They took care of business, beating Southern by 10. But what a lot of people might not be aware of, there was no postman read showing in this game. We did some investigating. They said it was an undisclosed injury. I'm going to go out and say I'm not necessarily buying that one. Not sure if there was some disciplinary actions because he's had a little history in the past of being a bit disgruntled from time to time. And I don't know if Jones was sending an early message or not, but it just goes to show the depth and the quality that Texas Southern has, even when their postman is not even playing.
Right. That's a big testimony right there now, because if they were able to win on the road by 10 without him, just imagine with him being healthy, physically and mentally in a game. That means that Texas Southern is the team that we're going to have to look for. Now, everybody's going to have to chase Texas Southern now. Going into the season, everybody thought everybody would be chasing Grambling State. But now they've got to chase Texas Southern. But they did have some respect for Texas Southern because in the preseason poll, they picked them second. So they knew they would be at the top, somewhere at the top.
Absolutely. Now, that's where my concern, of course, I'm for the conference, but I am a PV alum. I'm very intrigued on how the Panthers are going to deal with the Reed situation, because I know he's going to play this weekend. I'd be foolish to think that he won't. But I'm very interested to see how the Panthers can counter his presence down in the paint and still be able to pull off this victory. It's going to be a tough, tall task, but I'm very intrigued to see how that's going to unfold.
Well, I'm hoping, when you're playing against a 7-footer, what you got to do is you got to keep a body on him. I think if Prairie View wants to win this basketball game, they definitely going to have to keep him off the glass. And you do that by keeping a body on him at all times. You got to remember now, Reed is not The biggest player, he's tall. He doesn't have that much weight, so they got to root him out of there, keep him out of that paint, keep a body on him and neutralize him. And then on the offensive end, because he is a shot blocker, you got to attack him. You can't, if you fade away, that's to his advantage. You got to get up into his body, get up into his chest in order to create fouls or cause him to foul, to sit him on the bench. This is going to be an interesting weekend because Southern has to go down to Grambling. A&M is at Valley. Alcorn goes down to Jackson. Of course, Texas Southern will be at Prairie View, and then Alabama State will be at Pine Bluff. So it's just getting started. It's going to be a fun weekend, and I'm looking forward to the action.
Yes, sir. We're looking forward to the action. We're talking right now with Coach Vann Pettaway, SWAC basketball analysis. And I got one more little side note that I paid attention to. Not sure if anyone else even knows. We talked about the slow start that Grambling is off to on the men's side. Coach Jackson did a phenomenal job replacing Coach Walker last year. A lot of people may or may not be aware. Coach Jackson was hired by athletic director Paul Bryant. He and Coach Bryant were extremely close. Paul Bryant, last month, relieved of duties. Do you think this would have Jackson looking over his shoulder, wondering what's next? Because whenever a new athletic director comes in town, they always want a analysis and do a self check on what's working, what's not working, and when they know the history of people, do you think that has a little psychological advantage or disadvantage?
I hope not, because the incoming athletic director is Rusty Ponton, and I think Rusty, he's been around the SWAC for years. When we first got in the SWAC, he was the head women's basketball coach at Grambling. Then, of course, he's been to Jackson. He's been to several schools in the SWAC. And I'm sorry, he's Dr. Ponton now. But he's I think he was already at Grambling, so he saw what Jackson did last year. He knows what he's capable of. And I'm hoping that there is a great relationship between the two of them, because they're two great people, and I think they can work together. So I'm hoping Dante is not looking over his shoulder. He shouldn't be, because I don't think Rusty's that type of person. He's going to allow him to run his program and be the coach that he is. There was some technical issues because I saw them against Alabama A&M. They did not play with the same aggression that I'm used to seeing. They did not apply the pressure that they did last year. So I don't know if that's personnel issues or what's going on, but I was not sold on the way that they played this weekend.
Okay. Well,
their style is different from their championship style of last year.
Absolutely. And what an exciting team from last year, and you're just hoping for great expectations to see how things will go now that they're eligible for the tournament this year. Well, Coach, it comes now. You got to pick a game of the week from the women's side and from the men's side. And who do you have?
Well, the game, to me, I think when you had to go to rival games, on both sides, I'm going to go with the Prairie View Texas Southern game.
Okay.
I think those are the games that, to me, that will stand out, because you are playing a rival, and in those cases, that's the Hatfields and the McCoys. So I'm gonna go with Texas Southern on both sides. I'm sorry, when I'm saying going with, I'm talking about those are the games, the Texas Southern Prairie View matchup.
Okay.
Excuse me, on both sides. That's what I'm going with.
Okay. So with that being said, what will it take for each team to get the victory?
Well, first of all, for Prairie View on both sides, they have to make sure that the game is not too emotional for their players. In other words, they may have some players on the Panther side, because they're playing at home, to try to do too much. So you have to settle down and play within yourselves. That's what the Panthers have to do. Now, on the Tiger side, Texas Southern, they got to come in and hit them early. They got to take the crowd out. they got to do something that'll make the crowd sit on their hands. And the only way you can do that, you got to come out and take the lead. If you get behind and you let the crowd into the game, it makes it for a long day, long night, long afternoon. So they want to come out, hit them in the mouth early, take the crowd out of it, and then try to get out of there with the win.
And on the men's side?
Well, on the men's side, the Prairie View men got to control the glass. I think in order for them to win the game, they got to minimize their turnovers. They got to win the battle of the glass. And I think they have to force Texas Southern into a jump shooting team, keep them out the paint. They got to play the drive. And I think that's how they can come out and win the basketball game.
All right. So I'm going to put you on the spot, Coach. Do you have a prediction?
In this one, I'm going with the home team on the women's side. And on the men's side, it's a toss-up. I'm going to still stay with the home team. I'm going to go with Prairie View in the upset.
Prairie View to stay hot with the sweep.
Yep.
Okay. Well, you heard it, ladies and gentlemen, from Coach Vann Pettaway. We look forward to hearing from Coach Vann Pettaway throughout the course of the basketball season right here at the OpenMic Broadcast Network. He brings a passion, insight, and a knowledge base that goes beyond this world. And before we close this segment out, Coach, we're going to let you have some final thoughts and comments on this segment.
Well, I just think that it's still early on for all the teams in the SWAC. The fans shouldn't give up on their particular team in case they've already lost a game or two, because it's still early. All teams have the same goal in mind, and that's to be the champion. The regular season champ gets an opportunity to get the number one seed for the tournament. If you win the tournament, you get to go to the big dance. The only consolation you have if you're the regular season champ and you get bumped off in the tournament, there's still an NIT bid for you. So there's a lot to play for. All the teams need to represent their schools with pride and dignity and just play, because it's SWAC time.
It's SWAC time. And with that being said, we'll discuss that tournament situation a little further. We've already touched on it earlier, but I won't continue to make myself lose my mind and pull out what little hair I have left. Coach, we thank you so much for being a part of us here on the Mike Prince Show and the Open Mic Broadcast Network. He is Coach Vann Pettaway. And, I don't even know what title to give you. I'm just going to say basketball / guru / analyst / play-by-play. Well, color man.
I'm an analyst. Color analyst is all that. That's what I am. I'm still around basketball. I'm still on the NC2A Basketball Ethics Coalition. So I'm still doing some stuff with basketball. I love the game of basketball. It's gotten me to where I am today. I would not be anywhere. I was able to attend school on the athletic basketball scholarship. So basketball means a lot to me. So I put a lot into it. And I like watching great basketball. And we're seeing great basketball in the SWAC. Absolutely.
And with that being said, we thoroughly appreciate having you with us and look forward to many, many more conversations. He, again, is Coach Vann Pettaway. I am the radio guy, the Dr. Mike Prince. Remember, our social media handles are for Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, the same handle, at The Mike Prince Show. The YouTube channel is Open Mic Broadcast Network. And our website is obnradio.com. And for those of you who like to leave in on the message line, 713-570-6736. I must exit stage left for now, but until the next time, you guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side.
This is Patricia Baer, president of JZE Building and Restoration. We specialize in full roof replacement and roof leaks. We assist homeowners with filing insurance claims and help you with the full process from start to finish. We are a complete remodeling and rehab company for commercial and residential. We do drywall, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, flooring, fencing, paint, framing, and much more. We can handle any job, small or large. Contact information is 319-8477, JZE Building and Restoration.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the radio guy, the Dr. Mike Prince. As you know, we try to give you detailed and logical coverage here on the world of HBCU sports and beyond. And today is not going to be an exception to the rule. We have with us a young man who has been, as they say, around the block. And he is highly qualified, highly motivated to share his insight, knowledge with us. And it's funny that I would say the word insight because he has a website that I'm sure that you guys would appreciate, and a podcast that he does called Insight Sports, as I present to some and introduce to others, none other than Coach Mickey Clayton. How you doing today, Coach?
Such a grand introduction. I'm going to have to double the check I was going to send you on that one.
That's okay. It's Michael, period, as a Sanford and Son.
Easy, period. You know, and I do want to comment. You're right. I have been around the block a few times, but I'm getting a little older. I don't go around as fast as I used to, so I have to take my time.
Well, that's okay. I had an old professor used to say, he said, I ain't kicking high, but I'm still kicking, baby.
Exactly right.
Yes, sir. Now, for those of you who may have said, I've heard this name before, and as he's mentioned, he's a seasoned veteran in the world of collegiate basketball, in particular that of the orange and green. If those of you know what I mean by that, FAMU Rattler coach, started out well, let me stop and just let you introduce yourself, and we'll go right into this.
Oh, well, I was going to see what you were going to say, but I got my start. I played basketball at Florida A&M University, and it wasn't so long ago that we were FAMC. We were FAMU University. I played at Florida A&M. And third-generation Rattler. My father played at Florida A&M. My mother went there, and I had a grandmother play tennis there. So we actually started the women's basketball program and was in a conference then because the MEAC didn't cover women's sports. And so we got together with some schools out of the Trans-America and started our own conference in women's sports, which included Georgia State, Georgia Southern, Florida International, Stetson, Central Florida. We were the only predominantly black college in that conference, and we won the regular season championship and tournament championship. Later on, I became the men's basketball coach, and we were able to go in one year and win the MEAC tournament, advance to play, not in the playing game, but advance in the first round of NCAA tournament, played Duke at that time, and played them in Charlotte. So we've had a little bit of success. Not enough, because if I'd been that successful, I'd have still been coaching.
Hey, you know that is the word coaching. You got to have a screw loose anyway to want to be a head coach on a collegiate level. You know that, right, Coach?
Oh yeah. You're right, but at the time it was a love for my institution and trying to help do some things, and then I had three daughters that were all three that played basketball. They were all state selections. One went to Hampton and played a couple years. But the thing that people don't always understand, they get this grandeur idea of coaching. And I think even in our coaching selections and in our hires, people get so caught up with hiring people at HBCU that have no experience at HBCU. And they were a second or third assistant at a predominantly or at a majority institution, and everybody figures, that they'll be able to come in and do a good job. And they, in turn, saying they've been waiting all their time to be able to be a head coach, and now they are. And it's not the same at our institution. There's some things you have to be able to be aware of in terms of what you do and do not have, and how you have to be able to make something out of nothing. And if you're not from an HBCU situation or a junior college situation, a lot of our coaches come in a lot of times and feel entitled and as a result, they don't put forth the effort to be successful at our institution.
Absolutely. It builds instant frustration. And with the frustrations come lack of effort, as you just mentioned and hit upon. And it creates a disaster. It's also, you made me laugh. Say you got to be in it to win this thing. You gotta know what I mean. Used to be an old skit. I forget who it was. It might have been an SNL. Just say, hey, you just got to know what I mean. We could talk about it all day, but until you experience it for yourself, you will never really understand. And so,
and you're exactly right. I put it in another context. If you're ever in a relationship, or when you're in a relationship, sometimes your significant other or just other tells you something. Then you have to be able to interpret and decode what they said to what they really mean. Because how many arguments do you end up with when you interpret it one way, because that's what they said, but they didn't really mean what they said.
Well, being married 29 years, brother, I can attest to that one. Oh,
and you got to 29 years because you learned how to decipher.
Or just keep my mouth shut.
And pick your battles.
Yes, sir.
Coaching our institution.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, Coach is coming, as you can see, with some flavor and a different set of eyes, and we believe in educating and empowering our listeners that they can be informed, educated listeners, because those make the best listeners, and we're very proud of those who tune in to the Open Mic Broadcast Network for our programming, in particular the Mike Prince Show. So Coach has agreed that he will come and lay down his lengthy knowledge with us on a weekly basis, not only during basketball season, but we're going to be talking about recruiting and this, that, and the other. As long as he would have us, we're going to have him. And we thank you and welcome you to the Open Mic Broadcast Network platform, sir.
Well, I appreciate that. And I think we met on this platform a few years ago in terms of us being on the platform ourselves with insights, and from there in that time, as we kind of muddled around a little bit, we kind of found a niche here in Florida and South Georgia in terms of promoting high school games. We do a television show, and we live stream a lot of our games, and we have them on our website at insights.com, INSIIGHTS, 2 I's in the middle. And one of the things that we found is that in running across and finding talent, we try to reach out to a lot of our institutions who don't have a lot of money to recruit, but could click on the button and see some talent displayed right on their telephone, right on their computer, on their laptop, and be able to see it by live streaming. And it's at no cost. We do it free, make no money, but we do it free as a service to try to help the kids and bring notoriety and attention to their programs. And in our schools where we don't really have a lot of money to go out and blindly recruit, we try to make it easier for them in terms of letting them be able to assess different talent, because we do football, boys basketball, girls basketball, softball, baseball, volleyball. And so there's really no reason not to be aware of some of the talent that's in this part of the country, because we try to bring it to them. Now, if you don't click on the link and try and watch, that's on the coach. And there's a lot of you out there that reach out to your coaches at your respective schools and let them know about talent. But once you let them know about it, it's up to the coach. I mean, they then have to determine if they think that particular young man or young woman will be able to assist their program and help the institution by their athletic and academic contribution.
Well, that's the old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. Now, I'm about to give you a hard time, Coach. I heard the enthusiasm for football, because we do know in the South it's about football. But I really heard you amped up when you started talking about boys and girls basketball. But then you kind of walked off the plane when you came to my sport, baseball and softball. Is that something that I need to watch you on, Coach?
You need to watch me on everything. I tell you out front now, you better watch all the time now. Better check your chest pocket because I'll check to see what's left on your credit card. You better find out.
Well, I really appreciate that because we've been doing the same thing on this southern region in Texas for this since 2002, and we started out with some of the local high school coverages, and then we started covering baseball, softball because it wasn't being nurtured like I believed it should, and it just kind of catapulted and took on a new life of its own. And here we are, some 17 years, 18 years later, with this platform, and still moving strong. So I appreciate it.
Well, congratulations to you. I think that in all that we do, especially as a people, when we tend to do things together, that band is always stronger and we can get a lot more done. Unfortunately, too many times we let egos and perceptions get in the way of people doing the right thing because they like the message. They just didn't like the person who brought it to them. and that hurts our kids. And I know being a third generation rather out of four, because I had daughters with degrees there and nephews that graduated from there. It always made it easier for us to be able to pick up the phone if there was a problem with any of our students or athletes and know who to call, because that's how tightly wound it is at HBCUs, not just Florida A&M, but Texas Southern, Allen, Claflin, Edward Waters, and the rest. But it's just until all of our alumni really realize that, our athletic program is the front porch and it highlights our things at our institution. The academic component is the most important part, and we all have to be aware of the battle that we're in for our individual institutions and to understand that we all have to stay together or we definitely will all perish together.
Absolutely. And I must mention Prairie View because you mentioned our arch rival, Texas Southern, who we have battled with this weekend. So I can't have you say Texas Southern without saying Prairie View. That'd be like me saying Bethune-Cookman without saying FAMU. So
Well, see, that would be fine. I love Bethune. I know you do. We love Bethune.
Yes.
That one day, that one Saturday, we love them. We absolutely. And I had a daughter that wanted to go she was All-State, wanted to go play in Bethune-Cookman. And I think she wanted to play at Bethune because she thought that I would be unhappy if she went to Bethune. But unbeknownst to her, I had outstanding relationships with Bethune-Cookman administrator. So had she gone to Bethune, she'd had just as many eyes on her as she would have if she had went to FAMU.
I know that's right. It's all one family. And speaking of one family, we're going to transition now. Basketball season, I say the real basketball season because, and I might as well get your thoughts on this right now. What is your take on these guaranteed games during the non-conference play of basketball?
Jesus, why did I know? I should have known you would go straight to the jugular on the initial question.
Hey, man, that's part of our MO.
Well, I have a unique perspective in that my experiences have allowed me to be a player, a coach, and an assistant athletic director. So I look at it from the total perspective. And it always bothered me because when you see the media, the games that they always highlight is HBCU X against majority institution K.
Mm-hmm.
Score 115 to 38.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever it is, which right away it sends a message to your alumni and your core base of supporters that your team isn't very good.
Mm-hmm.
And the coaches, it depends on your administration. People don't always understand. The administration sets the tone, and championships are won by your administration. If they give you the support, then you are expected to win a championship. But a lot of times they just want you to win, but they don't give you the services. And then on the other end, you get sold down the river by having to play a certain number of games, a certain number of money games. Now, what the administration does a lot of times is they'll tell you you might have to put $100,000 in your budget from guarantee games. Now, how you get to that amount, Coach, is up to you. Now, let me tell you what they mean by it's up to you. You may take two big games and get $50,000 apiece. Now, basketball doesn't quite bring you the same amount per contest that a football game that brings you six figures, but it might be $50,000 apiece. Or you might play more mid-level games where you could get $15,000 or $20,000 a game and play five of them. Well, those games are a little bit more competitive for you, but it's a little bit better to play a mid-level program than to go to play Duke, and Duke is beating some of the ACC schools by 30. So
Right.
you have to kind of figure out what your pill is, how large that pill is you want to swallow. Now, there are some programs that tell you, and we got one president who had told his teams, don't play anybody that won't come to you and play you. If they won't return a game to our facility, then you don't have to play them.
Okay.
And so we don't need the money. And all other coaches in the league were like, wow, we wish that was our situation, which puts you in a position that you can be a lot more competitive. So I understand that we have to make money, and basketball in a lot of places can break even depending on the type of support they get and if they have to play any guarantee games. But the thing that people have to remember, and I'm not trying to make this too complicated, is that most, like in Florida, you don't get any money for athletic contests. Your budget is built on projected revenue, which means how you think you can make money. That's how the athletic department budget is made. And certain sports, they expect to be able to contribute at some level, no matter how or no matter what. And so that's why they have these required guarantee games that none of the coaches really feel like it's advantageous to them to play, because you start off the first part of the year and you can go 1-7, and it takes a lot to be able to keep your team together, regardless of the administration telling you that we're not going to count those games against you. We just want to see what you do when you get to the conference. You'd much rather open up with 2 or 3 games that you think you could win and get some confidence early in the season in your team and then go from there. But when you take those losses, it's never the coach's fault. It's the players always. I mean, it's never the players. It's always the coach. The players saying, "Man, coach don't know what he's doing. If he had let me shoot those threes, I was open and we'd have won this game." Son, it was a reason you were open. They knew not to cover you. You can't shoot that shot.
We're talking right now with Coach Mickey Clayton, and I want to continue on with this before we move a little further, because I have a take on it. And since you've been men's, women's athletic director, I want you to let me know if I'm being a little too harsh when I make this statement. And I've been on the record for saying I'm probably going to continue to say it until proven otherwise. But here goes. I think the approach of putting these coaches out here are A, lazy fundraising on the athletic director's part. B, it sets up a negative student-athlete experience. And then you just hit on it. You have the potential of losing your fan base before the real season even starts. And then finally, I think in order to help that projection get a little clearer, I don't know what times you guys start your basketball games on Saturdays, but I think they're starting too early, because HBCU fans, and I'm going to stress this part, HBCU fans are more nocturnal, and they would come out if the game is a little bit later. For example, we play double headers here in the SWAC. So you have your women's start and your men's start. Well, this Saturday, rival game starts at 3 o'clock Central Standard Time. Well, the students are not even back yet. They'll be coming in that Friday or Saturday. And when you're moving, huffing and puffing, you are not going to be feeling like coming to a game, even if it's free for a student. But if you push that game back a couple of hours, person can get a power nap, they'll come, and it's their first official gathering back on campus for the start of the spring semester, I think you get a better outcome.
You want me to dig in?
Sure.
Okay, since that was the last thing you said, here we're almost the opposite. We play late, and I would advocate on Saturdays that we play early. And I guess we're looking at, and one thing that happens is that the schools that are traveling in the pairings that we do, because most of us do in Black College and MEAC and the do Saturday, Monday pairings and travel. When you travel a little earlier on Saturday, you can get your team out and get to your next destination before 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning. Second, it allows you to be able to feed the kids after the game with something other than fast food that you had to order and have them drop their hamburgers off at the gym at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, and then get on the road. You can actually get them in a position where they can sit down and have a meal, replenish what they've lost, and then travel. Thirdly, for those who attend, there's a side of us that don't mind going to earlier afternoon games and then being able to do something else in the evening. But out of everything, you have to know your constituent group. And the constituent group changes from place to place. And a lot of things that we do historically because that's how we've always done it. And sometimes that's good, and sometimes it's bad. Now, I'm going to go back to the negative fundraising for a lazy athletic director in terms of fundraising. There's a lot of really, really credible, hardworking athletic directors who are almost shorthanded in terms of their staff off the bat. Sometimes I don't know if an athletic director position is a promotion or a demotion in terms of how they're treated sometimes because the work level is so high and the various things that they have to do. Now, they have to have a competent staff. They have to have a marketing team. They have to have some ability to raise money. And as one president we said at Florida A&M, he wanted a proven fundraiser. And it's a lot that goes on in terms of being effective at doing that. I don't like playing the guarantee games, but I understand why they've been mandated. And at the end of the day, if you can find me a way, we can find. If I have my athletic director hat on, let's see if we can find a way to cut that down so you don't have to play as many. But I also had a president tell me one time when I tried to protest against the fundraising games, he said, "What? I need to know how far away my basketball team is from being competitive. And I need you to play some of these teams so I know." And I said, "Well, Doc, does that mean we'll get some more money if we're far away?" He said, "No, just had to give me another coach." So, I also understood what he was saying. I didn't argue that much because when we were on the women's side, which is different, we were competitive. Our women's basketball team against Florida State, our women's basketball team, when we coached them, actually had more wins against Florida State. And it's not hard to check the records to validate what I'm saying. We had more wins against Florida State than all other athletic teams at the institution combined. Because we were able to get out and recruit, and we had alumni that told us about kids, and we always responded when somebody would tell us. Now, we didn't always recruit them, but we always responded. And they let us know about a lot of kids, and we got after it pretty good. We had a week we beat Florida State, Florida, and Georgia Southern in the same week.
Wow. That's pretty heavy and impressive.
But thank you. We owed Florida a return game because they came to us. We owed them a return game. They told us don't come. They'd rather break the contract than to play a home game.
Hey, you know what? That's old taking them out to the woodshed whooping. They said, "We don't even want to deal with this no more. I can't whoop them."
I mean, and the BNI gym, we played against the gym then, and the CI, it was full. The CI student body stand up and do the Gator Chomp. They were not happy over there in that orange and blue that night.
That's all right, man. That's all right. That's all.
But that's where we started in women's basketball. Where I personally got my start. So we actually kind of look at some of the programs, and one of the things that's always key to me is how teams do in their non-conference schedule. The conference schedule has started now, but I always look to see how they do in non-conference schedule. And one of the things that I think everybody has to understand is all the coaches watch everybody. And every time somebody in the MEAC SWAC, in the SIAC or CIAA have a win, there's a cheer that goes up from HBCUs everywhere for that win.
Yes, sir.
Because they don't only win for themselves, they win for all the rest of us who are trying to prove a point.
Yes, sir. Well, now I'll give you proof in the pudding on that one. I just told you about you mentioning Texas Southern without bringing up Prairie View, but when Texas Southern men's basketball team beat Texas A&M last week on December 29th, to be exact, we resounded with a loud yes, because that was one for everybody. Would I've loved to see it be Prairie View, but it was just like Prairie View when you see your SWAC brother hoist up the victory sign that we went in here and beat them by 15, Coach. By 15. It wasn't no Hail Mary off the backboard from half court shot that fell in. This was a sound whooping, brother, from the tip off to the final buzzer. And that was a proud moment. And that's why you stated earlier, when we do these things together, it makes it better for all of us, and more importantly, our kids that we're covering. So, and let me say thank you again for making yourself available for these segments. For those who are just joined in, we're talking with Mickey Clayton. I'm going to say living legend, Mickey Clayton. He's been around all aspects of FAMU basketball, from the women's side, men's side, from the administrative side, and he is going to be featured here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network, but you can also check him out at insightsports.com. He's going to give you some more information about that. But, Coach, let us move into this world of MEAC. And I know you and I have a strong adoration for women's basketball, but we got to be fair with the guys as well. So we'll go ahead and you got some movers and some shakers going on throughout the world of MEAC basketball. And you had the regular season open up this past weekend. Any surprises that unfolded on your side?
Well, no, not really, because you have to understand how the MEAC goes. The travel is so extensive from Florida to Baltimore and Delaware. It's a lot of travel. And fortunately, most schools now fly. They didn't always fly, but most fly from south to north to south. But in the middle there's still a lot of busing that goes on, and it takes its toll. I can absolutely guarantee you somebody's going to get snowed in before the season's over, which creates a whole different area of logistics in terms of the money that you get to make the travel. Then you get snowed in. The younger, more inexperienced coaches are trying to justify or learn how to handle that adversity with a team that now you get a check to cover X number of meals, X number of nights. What do you do now that you have to stay 2 extra nights and you're out of money? How do you handle that? Not to mention trying to get back to school and make up the classes you've missed, trying to get to the next site to play. Those are real situations that happen a lot more in our situations than others, only because of the added stress it puts on making sure that you're taking care of the student athletes that are under your care. What's the tip to that? Try to find and try to stay in a hotel that has a restaurant.
Okay.
Typically, what will happen is if you get snowed in, you have a relationship because you're staying there pretty much during a downtime, so you're not in a situation where you have to evacuate it. but you usually have a relationship where they will allow you to build the additional rooms to the institution, and along with that, they will allow you to eat and send that on the bill as well.
Mm-hmm. See,
that's one of the things that we learned to help us when we were in those situations.
And that's why we got you on the mic, Coach, because people don't even think about things like that. You know, they just assume, oh, well, they'll figure it out. But sometimes when you stated you're green and you hadn't yet figured it out, because if we be honest, one of the challenges about these younger coaches is being able to overcome their own egos.
Mm. Okay. But I'm not going to touch that. I'm not going to touch that. But in terms of what's coming up for this weekend, you probably have a game that I'm really interested in. I kind of call it my spotlight women's game, and that's Bethune-Cookman at Howard. Cookman won their first game this past weekend, and Howard split theirs. But Howard had done very well in the preseason with their team. They were 7-6 in the preseason, and then at Cookman early will be a good game because again that's a game that's in D.C. and Howard plays very well in that arena, and they get out there pretty good. And Cookman has been something to handle the last few years. Their coach has done an excellent job as they won the regular season last year, losing in the tournament, making their second or third appearance in the women's NIT. But down there in Daytona Beach, under the guys and leadership of, their outstanding athletic director, Lynn Thompson, a lot of his programs are doing very well. And the women's coach, I'm amazed they've been able to keep her that long because for her to show that she can win at Bethune-Cookman in the way and manner that she's done, she should have been on the top of a lot of lists in terms of getting a mid-level coaching job.
Do you think there's oversight on purpose, or could it be to say, no, I'm in a happy place right now. Let me finish what I started here, and maybe we can revisit.
No, that's absolutely what she's supposed to say, but they know that they've been able to keep her, and they're fortunate to keep her. But it's not an oversight when these type of opportunities. And that's a topic for another day. When these situations come available for us, they don't come at the same rate of speed that they do if you've been successful at a majority institution or if you're not a coach of color. She kind of checks all of the checklist of what you would be looking for. And if I'm an athletic director at a mid-level institution, mid-major program, I would have given her a call. She's already shown that she can win without having all of the tools that other people have, and she's beaten some of your programs. And we have a handful of other coaches like that who have proven themselves to be successful, and we hope that in some of the shows that we do that, we can call attention to this. But, I mean, we don't really have to look very deep to see what the problem is when opportunities don't come for us at the same rate of speed as they come for others.
Absolutely.
With our student athletes, with our students, we tell them all the time that just because the gun started the race, it doesn't mean that everybody else started at that time. It's a lot of people already started by the time we hear the gun go off, they're already turning the first corner. So we have to work harder and faster to be able to be successful.
Absolutely. So in order for the Wildcats to have success, they will have to do what against the Lady Bison?
Well, one, they have to play their game and they have to maintain their composure in terms of playing in adverse situations. Howard gets to going in that gym, and I've had basketball teams, and I had to jump on my team. I mean, they do this cheer, they do, and everybody jumps up. Everybody jumps up. And the whole gym standing up going crazy. And I mean, my team got on the doggone bus and did it. I mean, if y'all don't sit y'all butts down after y'all lost that game, I'm gonna continue to jump up. But they get it going.
Yeah, but some schools, they just got it, and you got to admit, Coach, that if you didn't have the compose that you had, you'd be like, you know what, that is pretty catchy, what they doing and what they saying. But I'm not going. I dare not repeat it. But so I understand that. I'm thinking once again about Texas Southern. They got a deal that when you file out, everybody gets worked up. They got this little song, "Go Sit Down," and everybody
Yeah.
gets worked up. Go sit down. Go sit down. Then it just go sit down. And if you're not careful, you find yourself
Right.
patting your foot. You're like, wait a minute, man. I'm not supposed to be enjoying this. My top man just filed out. So, got to give it to him for creativity.
Coach, I'm not laughing at that. That is not a joke to me. But, Coach, it was kind of catchy. That's why I remember it. I'm like, man, that thing kind of tight.
Uh-huh.
But I love, the students. That's why I really don't like our games that we play when school is out. And the conference has a heck of a job, and they do an excellent job in terms of doing their schedule. But when the kids aren't there, and the students make the game.
Yes.
And they say, well, y'all old people, y'all know, yeah, we are old, but we happy to see you doing the stuff that we were doing when we were at the game.
Mm-hmm.
And there's many athletic events. We say, man, those students having a great time over there. We love it. We love it.
Right.
We did it.
Right.
We
right.
love it.
And the only thing that's changed, and they come back in full circle, is the music and the clothes. What you thought was out of date comes back in date, and it's just the beauty of watching the youngsters take over. And now they got a new way of looking at things nowadays. But it is what it is. I guess we had a new way of looking at things too, Coach.
You're right. And closing out in the women, right now at the top of the standings, you got Norfolk State and UMES at 2-0. Cookman and North Carolina A&T, and boy, those Aggies, I won't even get started. They traditionally have done a real good job. They're 1-0 in the conference, Cookman and North Carolina A&T. A&T struggled a little bit non-conference, a little bit more than normal. They were 3-10 in non-conference, as opposed to Cookman, who was actually 7-5. And in the middle, you got Howard, Savannah State, Morgan State, Compton State. All of them 1-1. Savannah State is always somebody you have to kind of watch. South Carolina State 0-1 with a new coach there. Central is 0-1. Delaware State 0-2, and tied for last time there are the Rattlers 0-2. They were down. Howard was destroying them the first half Saturday. And A&M came back. I'm sure they had a royal meeting of the minds at halftime in the locker room. And the Rattlers closed it. Lady Rattlers, now they used to be called the Rattlerette. They closed it out and made it a game.
Very
and
good.
On the men's side, they got a young man over there that's Conference Player of the Year, preseason Conference Player of the Year. He was a Conference Player of the Year last year as a freshman, R.J. Cole. He's a young man. If DC is in the area, you need to see him. He averaged almost 24 points a game last year and 6 assists. 6'1", sophomore from New Jersey, made 109 three-pointers last season.
109, Coach?
109 threes.
Wow.
He scored 42 points against UNC Wilmington and went over 30 points 5 times last year as a freshman.
Wow. Sound like
He's
he
a
got...
young man. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I said sound like he has next level numbers and status, man.
He does as a sophomore for Howard, and they are the teams that actually picked to win in the MEAC is Cookman, who had a new coach whose father was at Embry-Riddle last year, and it was a brave selection that athletic director Lynn Thompson got eaten up about hiring him because of his ethnic background. And he ended up being a guy who took Cookman's program to a different level last year, and big things are expected from them this year. And same with Howard, because both teams, Howard and Cookman, have 2 young men that are picked on the preseason all-conference team. And Cookman has more size than normal. They got a returning young man, 6'9", Shantrez Davis, a senior 6'9" in there from Atlanta. He jumps up around that square. So the men's team is going to be, the men's programs are typically pretty balanced where anybody can win on any given night. I think the dark horse team is going to be our Rattlers. Not because they're from FAMU, because we've struggled a lot, but they have a team now that beat JU earlier in the year, and they're kind of like the championship team we had that won the tournament, except they shoot a little better than we did. But when they get hot, they can shoot with anybody. And I think they're going to be a dark horse team, because to win that tournament, you just have to put you together about 3 good games, and you can go like we did from the play-in game to win it.
Well,
so that's my dark horse team, is the FAMU Rattlers.
I'm putting that down, pad and pen, that FAMU is going to be your dark horse from the men's side. Who's going to be your dark horse from the women's side? Then I'm going to jump right back to a statement you just made.
Okay, on the women's side, there's so many good coaches on that women's side, and Bethune-Cookman's going to be there, A&T is going to be there. I would have to say Norfolk, even though right now they're 2-0. I would say Norfolk, because they do some things at Norfolk Arena in terms of supporting those teams that, had I not attended Florida A&M and saw Norfolk and how they acted, I might have went to FAMU, even though my dad played on the basketball team at FAMU. We actually have a video that we did about the MEAC tournament, and we were leaving the arena, and A&M and Norfolk State were playing about 3 or 4 years back, and I was just so impressed with the cheerleaders on the floor, the fans in the stands, people coming out the stands dancing with the cheerleaders around the stadium in the Norfolk Arena. And this was at the MEAC tournament, and we'll talk about it. If you've never been to the MEAC tournament, you need to go. And they were putting on such a show that one time the referees had to get the fans off the floor because they were doing some dance, and they were carrying on. And this was during the game, and when the game ended, they just stayed in the stand. They were going absolutely nuts. And it's probably the most watched video we've done on Insights or anything I've done, with the number of people who go back and actually watch that video. And I tell them, I say, man, if I hadn't been a FAMU Rattler, I'd have had to strongly consider coming here because of their love for basketball.
That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Coach Mickey Clayton of Insight Sports, before I let you go, sir, and I've been beating this drum for quite some time now, and you made the mention about you get to the tournament, all I need to do is get hot 3 or 4 games, and I can make it to the big dance, the way everything is structured. Which leads me to this. I'm all for the tournament play. I think the tournament is part of that flavor, not only just HBCU basketball, but basketball as a whole. But especially in our HBCU cases, it seems that the way our tournaments are structured right now, it does not reward the most consistent team throughout the regular season. And I'm thinking, and I know they says I've spoken with a few quote unquote experts. They say it would take so much paperwork to mandate that, which I'm like, but if you've proven that through an 18-game schedule that you are the most consistent, dominant team, that
then you should win the tournament.
Well, I can't say that, Coach. Not because, just like you said, say for instance, you beat me 2 times. You beat me 2 times, and I don't really have anybody that could meet you up or match up with you well down in the post. But on that 3rd time we meet in the tournament, my perimeter shooting is off the chart, and I'm hitting threes from the dressing room, locker room,
Then you
and
better guard me.
I understand that, but the consistency, and I'm saying, yeah, okay, you got hot. If you don't show a 3-5 or a 3-15 team representing us, I don't think is justifiable because we're already playing up against the 8 ball on a uphill slope with ice all over the place. Then
Okay, let's stop. Let me ask you a question then. So why do you have the tournament?
you have the tournament because the tournament is part of that lure, and really it's the tradition. It's a tradition. It's the excitement of, again. I personally, this is just me personally. Now, I don't think you need to invite every school to be in the tournament. I think the top 4 schools should be in there. One play 4, 2 play 3, and then whoever wins that play for the championship. That's just my personal opinion, because
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see a 3-15 team in the tournament. You don't deserve to be in the tournament. You do not deserve to be in the tournament. That's just me
As
personally.
a team that went into the ninth seed, came in from the play-in game, I'd never buy into that. And they had that same argument when we won the tournament and went in, and they were arguing. It was a nationwide argument. Not so much because Florida A&M won, but just because of the fact that. And John Thompson said, how are you going to hold that? It set up, and they won the tournament. They won 4 games in 5 days. They have proven themselves that they should go. And that ended it on that particular show. So I've heard the argument.
Mm-hmm.
We just talked about the finances that the conferences and the schools need.
Mm-hmm.
The basketball tournament is a moneymaker.
No doubt. No doubt.
One of the reasons it's a moneymaker is not just the social around it, but because everybody has a chance. Everybody has a chance. So at the end of the day, people buy into that chance like they buy a lotto ticket. And they decide to go because of the social and because of the fact that they know Prairie View's going to be there, Texas Southern's going to be there. Everyone's going to be there. So I could put it in my budget to go.
Mm-hmm.
And they go. And it's the only thing. Like the CIAA at one time was the 3rd largest tournament draw in the country. That's including the Big Ten, the SWAC, the SEC. That's how much money the CIAA made off the CIAA tournament. The MEAC and the SWAC have tried to follow the model that's in the CIAA. Well, one of the reasons it's unsuccessful that they can't follow is because of the proximity of the schools in the CIAA. That everybody know everybody. And the rivalries are right down the road. If you want to go play somebody, it's only 30, 45 minutes down the road to play them.
Mm-hmm.
The MEAC is spread out so far that those same rivalries don't exist. That's another conversation.
Yes, sir. And you know what, because I'm excited about this because I guess about a month ago now we did a show on the possibilities of what if there was a 3rd HBCU conference that was more geographically aligned with the Alabama schools, the Florida schools, and some of those Carolina schools. But I know that takes a lot of money, but we will get a chance to kick that can down the road here real soon.
Yeah, not only that, because I'm privy to some information. It's gone past now, but we'll bring it up. Let me ask another question that I think that our listeners may want to respond to and send us some information on to either you or to me. Either way, it's fine with me. Is that what happens if HBCUs were to decide that the NCAA is not the path that's best for our institution, and all the black colleges ended up playing against each other?
A super conference.
Well, even if they withdrew, right? Even if all the different sides, if we withdrew from the NCAA, but you decide that now you don't even have to go by the same academic requirements that the NCAA imposes on us that restricts access to our students. So now you have students coming in that you will be able to help more that need help. And some people feel we've kind of turned our back on by following the NCAA academic mandate. I'm just saying.
Hey, you know what? We are going to have to definitely revisit on that one because I'm getting excited about that already. But I know we are pressed for time on today. I want to thank you, Coach, for the beginning of what I continue as a harmonious walk down the road of HBCU athletics. Coach Mickey Clayton of Inside Sports. Coach, I'm going to give you the final thoughts and comments for today. And when you finish, let people know how they can listen to you.
Well, I appreciate having this opportunity. We have a long historical relationship with predominantly black institutions and the student athletes and the students that represent some of the finest institutions that this nation has to offer. And during this time that we are challenged on many, many levels, and a lot of levels that we are not even aware that behind us, the bridge is being sabotaged. We need to keep our eyes, ears open. We ought to work together so that we will have our grandchildren and our children able to attend the same type of institutions that built the backbone of this country. All of these historically black institutions and its graduates and alumni need to band together and be strong and find ways to be able to support these student athletes and to be able to provide opportunities for them as they continue on their professional careers. And this is Coach Mickey Clayton at Insights, INSIIGHTS. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We have a website. Follow us. We appreciate your support. And Dr. Prince and I appreciate having an opportunity for you to listen to us as we want to listen to you.
And with that being said, we want to thank Dr. Mickey Clayton for being our special guest on today. Remember to go to insightsports.com and catch up on everything. We're also going to be making sure that you get informed on every time he releases something new from our end. And we'll do that cross promotion. We want to thank you guys so much for being a part of us on today. I am the radio guy, the Dr. Mike Prince. Our Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter handles are all the same at The Mike Prince Show. The YouTube channel that you need to be a part of is the OpenMic Broadcast Network, OPEN, capital MIC. That's all one word, Broadcast Network. Website, of course, is obnradio.com. And our 24-hour dial-in message line, 713-570-6736. And until the next time, you guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side.